on this edition of The Fifth Estate.
That's him.
That's him. We're on the trail of an alleged human smuggler. That's him right there, yeah, on the left, yeah, in the center lane. Yeah. It's been more than 2 years since an unimaginable tragedy on the Manitoba-U.S. border.
About 5 feet into Canada, there was 3 of them. I didn't see the incident. Oh. Little baby and probably about a 9 or 10-year-old and their father.
The Patel family froze to death in the middle of a dangerous journey. They were trying to cross illegally into the United States in a remote area during a blinding snowstorm. It was a journey planned by a network of human smugglers who were operating in India, but also here in Canada. Since the death of the Patels, there have been no arrests in Canada.
What are they waiting for? That's the million-dollar question.
The suspects here have remained elusive and largely unknown until now. For 2 years, there has been one question. Who sent the Patel family out into the cold on that fateful night? Now, we have an answer.
It's him. Fennel, go, go, go.
I'm Steven D'Souza. This is The Fifth Estate. "11-year-old Vahangi Patel was a bright light, always impressing her grandparents with her smarts. Three-year-old Dharmik, the center of attention, full of energy and spirit, a world of possibilities at his little feet. Like any parents, Vaishali and Jagdish wanted the best for their children, to give them every opportunity to succeed. To do that, Jagdish believed he had to leave his home village behind, that his dreams for his family wouldn't be fulfilled on the streets of Dengucha in the Indian state of Gujarat. In the summer of 2022, we spoke with Jagdish's father, Baldev.
ऐसा कि मैं बच्चों के भविष्य के लिए कनाडा जाऊँ। बच्ची पढ़ने में अच्छी थी। अच्छा भाई, तुम्हारी मर्जी।
But Jagdish had no plans on staying in Canada. His goal, follow a well-worn but illegal path to the United States.
वो तो भाई ऐसा है ना, सबको पैसा जल्दी कमाना है, इसलिए लोग जाते हैं, किसी का कोई बात सुनने वाला नहीं है, तब जाएगा.
The more people leave, the more pressure builds on others to follow. There is the promise of wealth and status and the belief that they will be giving their children more opportunities to succeed. Immigration lawyer Deepak Alawalia grew up just outside Toronto. Now he lives and works in California and has heard firsthand from migrants about why they take such a risky journey.
Someone will come from that village, and within a few years, a person's posting a new car on Facebook, he's posting a new house. He or she is showing the positive side of the American dream and not the hard work that goes into it. That trickles back home, and now money is also flowing back home in the village. And all of that is seen by the other individuals who are living there. And all that, again, does is it's just a ripple effect. It's just lining up the next batch of individuals or families that want to do the exact same thing for their family because they've seen someone else do it.
Jagdish turned to well-known smuggling networks in Gujarat. First, the smugglers in India helped him obtain a tourist visa to Canada. Then, with just a handful of possessions, including a little blue blanket for Dharmik, the smuggling network in Canada took over. They arranged shelter and transportation to the border. But Jagdish, Vaishali, Vahangi, and Dharmik would never see the American side. It was the night of January 18th, 2022. And the weather outside of Emerson, Manitoba was enough to keep even hardened locals off the roads.
It was awful. There was basically zero visibility. We did no trips that night. We did 3 during the day, but even the 3 during the day were tough.
Emerson Taxi in southern Manitoba runs rail crews back and forth across the Canada-US border.
Snowdrifts could build up so rapidly and you wouldn't see them. The first thing you'd know was you just hit a drift that was 2, 3, or 4 feet deep or high and you're busting through it. Well, you know what? You don't want to be out on those nights.
But authorities allege the smugglers did send the family out in those conditions. That night, there was a severe winter storm. The temperature plunged to -35 Celsius, and the next day, police would make a horrifying discovery.
About 5 feet into Canada, there was 3 of them. I didn't see the incident.
Oh.
Little baby and probably about a 9 or 10-year-old and their father.
Oh.
They found another body over by the Canadian gas plant here.
Oh my.
And I walked away. So there's 4 up here total, I guess.
Their bodies were found in Canada just meters from the border, victims of the bitter cold and unforgiving landscape, but most tragically, victims of smugglers who sent them out into a blinding snowstorm with promises that the future they sought was just a short walk away.
The fact that the Patel family attempted to cross that evening was completely unnecessary and dangerous. And I believe that the person or persons that facilitated that travel need to be held responsible for that reason.
But police at the time didn't know who those people were. When our story first aired, investigators were still piecing together the family's movements in Canada. The RCMP credit the Fifth Estate with helping generate new leads on the family's journey. The Patels arrived at Toronto's Pearson Airport on January 12, 2022 at 2:30 p.m. They were picked up by a private vehicle, stayed at a hotel in the Mississauga area. Over 2 days, they moved between Welland, Ontario and Mississauga, and then they made it to Manitoba. How they got there is still a mystery.
There is a black hole in the timeline from the Greater Toronto Area to the Emerson border, and that is my plea. There are people that know, there are a person or people that know about their intended travel, where they were going, and who helped facilitate that.
Who helped them? That was the biggest question. Someone drove the family to the border and left them there. In January 2023, right before the first anniversary of their death, a breakthrough. Gujarat State Police arrested a group of smugglers they say were responsible for part of the Patel's journey. 3 men, Yogesh Patel, Bhavesh Patel, and Dashrath Chaudhry, accused by Indian police of culpable homicide, human trafficking, and conspiracy. Indian police also named 2 suspects in North America, people they allege guided the final days of the Patel family's journey to the US border. At first, all we had were 2 names, Bittu Paji and Feno Patel.
And the problem with Bittu Paji is that that's not his real name.
Right.
So we don't even know his real name. So I think we should focus our efforts on Feno Patel because, I mean, as common as that name is, at least it gives us a starting point because we have a real name.
Patel is a common surname, and none of the suspects named so far are related to the family. It was going to take some digging, a year-long investigation with leads around the world and across Canada. We needed to find out exactly who is Feno Patel and what role he played in the tragic journey that would take these lives. We started with the RCMP, but they wouldn't tell us if they were searching for Feno Patel in Canada. We then turned to the 7 migrants who survived the crossing the night the Patels died. Through sources in India, we found one survivor's story. Varshil Dobi was one of the 7. In a written statement to police obtained exclusively by the Fifth Estate, He said Fennel Patel picked him up at the airport in Toronto in December 2021. 2 days later, he says Fennel Patel drove him to Vancouver and then back to Manitoba. It was there at a motel in January 2022 that Varshil says he met the Patel family just before the crossing. Varshil says he knew Jagdish from back home in India. So he carried a bag for the family, including children's clothes and diapers for Dharmik. At this point, we still don't know how much the Patel family paid the smugglers. But Varshil told investigators his family had agreed to pay them close to $100,000 Canadian to get him to the United States.
We haven't got our hands on that.
That kind of money makes human smuggling incredibly profitable, and those involved very difficult to track. But after several months, we had a breakthrough. Through sources in India, we were able to get more of the information Indian police had on Fennel Patel. Exclusive photos. These images have never been broadcast in India or Canada. The Fifth Estate also obtained the Indian police report detailing their case against Fennel Patel. It says the accused smugglers were greedy and aware of the harsh conditions, but didn't warn the migrants or give them adequate protection. It also contained an important clue: phone numbers of the key players, including Fennel Patel. Canadian mobile number, a 647 number.
So that's right here in the Metro Toronto area.
Yeah, that's right here in the GTA.
We've got a phone number, a mobile number for Fennel Patel in the Greater Toronto area. No address, no other information.
So our producer, Scott Anderson, called the number, and someone named Fennel Patel answered.
You in the Toronto area then, or?
Yeah, but sorry, I don't want to talk more, but from where you got my number and why you are asking for me, because I don't know anybody right now.
There wasn't enough in the call to establish if this was the Fennel Patel we were looking for. We needed more to figure out if a key figure in the case was somewhere in the Toronto area. But before we could go any further, another development in India. News that would change our understanding of events. Coming up, was Jagdish Patel's plan to get to the US aided by someone in his own family? And we hit the road. That's in there. On the trail of Fennel Patel. All right, we just got caught at a red light and he's gone ahead of us.
See that? That's a public walkway right along to a park.
Oh, right at the back there? Okay.
You can actually just walk along there.
So it looks like one of the cars is not there?
Two. There's usually 3 cars.
Okay. We're on the road, searching for a man Indian police allege was directly involved in the fatal journey of the Patel family. A man who may be living just outside Toronto.
So that means there's a good chance he's home.
He's home? Okay. Because that's the car he'll usually take. We want to know who led the Patel family, including their children Vahangi and Dharmik, to their death on that cold winter night 2 years ago. No parent would want to put their child at risk. Jagdish and Vaishali were no different. But according to Indian police, when they were taken to a remote area on the Manitoba border, the smugglers told them This was their best opportunity to cross and reach their dream of raising their family in the United States. The information we were working with came after police arrested 3 men in India last year. We also learned of suspects in Canada who Indian police allege drove the family to the border. We had a name, face, and potential phone number, but still needed more to track him down. Turns out we already had the key. Remember that phone call? The man on the other end had given us a vital piece of information.
Sorry, you're Fennel Kantibai Patel?
My name is Fenil Kumar Kanti Lal Patel, not Kanti Bhai.
We were using the wrong variation of the name in our search. Once we zeroed in on that full spelling, it was like unlocking a vault. So the full name, Fenil Kumar Kantilal Patel, plus the date of birth, that's what got these property records?
That's what led us to the address.
Okay. Using real estate and business records, we found an address. The next step, wait and watch. Yeah, so like this, the Honda looked like this earlier. Meanwhile, we had other leads we were chasing down. We had previously tracked the case of Rajinder Pal Singh. That's him at a pharmacy near his home in California. Images captured as part of a U.S. Homeland Security investigation. He was charged with operating a smuggling network in Washington state. U.S. investigators say he owned the route from BC to the U.S. Singh moved more than 100 migrants using a sophisticated network of Uber rides and stash houses. During their investigation, U.S. authorities were listening to Singh's conversations. In January 2022, at around the same time the Patel family was being moved on their way to Manitoba, police overheard Singh allegedly referring to recent U.S. Border Patrol arrests in Washington state. They know from where these people are effing coming 100%. So now if we want to do this work, then we have to do it from Winnipeg. I spoke to Blank in Toronto. He has 2 drivers who can pick up people from that side. Remember, Indian police interviewed migrant Varshil Dobi, who says Fenil Patel took him from Toronto to BC first, before he and others were finally moved to southern Manitoba and dropped at the border with the Patel family. The RCMP told us they were looking into Singh. This past summer, Singh pleaded guilty to human smuggling charges and was sentenced to 45 months in prison.
I'm very confident to say that we had a major impact on his organization, with him being in jail now.
We went to talk to Homeland Security investigators about Rajinder Pal Singh's potential connection to the Patels.
We have gone through and we have looked at every piece of evidence that we have in this specific investigation, and we have not been able to make any link to the unfortunate death of the Patel family.
It seemed like a dead end. But when we pressed him on any other potential connections during their investigation, he was less definitive.
In order to maximize the opportunity for justice for those children that unfortunately died, I'm not going to comment on any potential connections to that investigation.
At this point, it became clear we weren't going to find the answers we needed on the West Coast. So we continued to focus on the alleged Canadian connection involving Fenil Patel. But then, a new development in India. This is Mahendra Patel, Jagdish's older brother, uncle to Vahangi and Dharmik, the owner of a clothing business. We first revealed that when he arrived in Canada for his brother's funeral in February 2022, Mahendra was detained at the Calgary airport, denied entry, and returned to India. The Canada Border Services Agency declined to tell us why. We also first reported that the RCMP interviewed Mahendra Patel about his brother's travel to Canada.
Through our liaison officers, our investigators have spoken with Mr. Patel.
Has he been helpful? Has he provided any helpful information?
Again, I won't be able to get into the specifics of what was told. However, information was obtained from Mr. Patel.
In the summer of 2022, we reached out to Mahendra Patel. He agreed to meet our producer in India, but declined to appear on camera. We asked him to record the conversation for verification. We are now showing some of it for the first time. The meeting went on for more than 30 minutes as our producer asked a number of questions relating to his brother's death. Mahendra appeared nervous and reluctant to speak. He told us the family knew Jagdish was going to Canada, but insisted he did not know his brother wanted to cross the border illegally.
Can I ask you one thing? वो क्यों गया? Why did he try to cross over? जगदीश और family Canada के लिए वीजा था. हाँ?
सब जाते तो उसने भी सोचा होगा. बाकी वो तो कभी जाने का बोल ही नहीं रहा.
No, पहले ही इरादा था कि मतलब crossing.
कुछ भी नहीं.
हाँ?
कुछ भी इरादा नहीं था. मना ही कर रहा था कि नहीं जाना है.
तो क्यों? तो वहाँ पे तो कैसे मरा?
हाँ मालूम सर. वो मेरे को भी नहीं मालूम पड़ता एक्चुअली.
Best of luck.
The Fifth Estate has since learned that on New Year's Day 2022, Mahendra bought the family's plane tickets to Toronto. Then in July 2023, we learned that Indian police had charged Mahendra Patel, not with smuggling his brother's family, but for allegedly smuggling a group of 9 migrants from villages in Gujarat. The group had traveled to the Caribbean, reportedly with plans to take a boat to Miami, but they disappeared and are believed to have drowned. Indian police allege Mahendra Patel was overseeing the operation, but police never had a chance to question him. Sometime last summer, Mahendra Patel disappeared. His disappearance left a key question unanswered. Was Mahendra Patel a part of the smuggling network that ultimately sent his brother to his death? So far, there was no solid evidence linking Mahendra Patel or Rajinder Pal Singh to the case. That brought us back to the search for Fennel Patel, the man Indian police say was part of the network that transported the family to the border. Using exclusive information from sources in India, including a birth date, police reports, and photos, we had scoured records in Canada and pinpointed an address in a suburban neighborhood just outside Toronto.
So far, based on what you've seen, this is a bit of a quieter time of day?
Yeah.
Over a number of days and nights,
So no sign of the, we haven't seen the white SUV at all, have we?
No.
we watched and waited until
That's it.
That's him.
Yeah.
Where is he? He's going to pick up the bin.
Green bin.
He's getting the green bin.
Yeah, okay. Got him.
almost 2 years after the Patel family tragically froze to death. This appears to be the man wanted by Indian police for his alleged part in getting them to the border that night. He's been accused of serious crimes in India, but we needed more information before we could go further, so we continued to wait and watch.
Here you go.
Wipers?
He put his hood up. It's open in the garage, looks like.
We didn't know what to expect, but what's remarkable is how unremarkable his days appear to be.
He's got a shovel out, he's just shoveling the walk.
He seems to have a routine. As he's done on previous days around this time, our suspect is on the move. But this time, he's heading in a different direction.
Oh, he's coming towards us, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, watch out.
Do you see which way he turned?
He's going left. Yeah, let's go. Oh no, he's going left towards the plaza.
At this point, there's still a lot we don't know. His destination could provide valuable new information.
We're just in traffic right now. I'm like 2 or 3 cars behind him. So we're just gonna try to see where he goes. Okay, I'm like a few cars behind him now. He's still in the right lane, so it looks like he's gonna go. It's a tense situation. We want to know where he's going, but we don't want to get too close and give ourselves away. He's gonna be pulling up right beside us in a second. That's him there.
Right on the right?
That's him right there, yeah. On the left, yeah, in the center lane?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna lose him on the side. All right, we just got caught at a red light and he's gone ahead of us. We lose him. Time to call it a night and start again. Coming up, another border crossing and another tragedy involving an Indian family. And our investigation brings us face to face with Fennel Patel.
It's him.
Fennel, go, go, go.
The death of the Patel family should have stood as a warning about the dangers of putting your children's lives in the hands of smugglers. Smugglers whose concern is making money, not safety. But the tragedy of the Patels did little to deter other families in India from following the same path through Canada to the United States. And in one case last March, the result was the same.
Now, police say they believe the deceased were part of two families, one of Romanian descent and another family believed to be citizens of India.
This time it wasn't the frozen fields of Manitoba, but the chilly waters of the St. Lawrence. 50-year-old Praveen Chaudhry, his wife Daksha, their children, 23-year-old daughter Vidhi and 20-year-old Meet, all drowned in a failed attempt to cross into the United States. The family had scraped together close to $100,000 Canadian from loans, savings, and borrowing from friends and family. Like in the Patel case, police in India named suspects, including one they say is living in Canada. So far, he's still at large. And like in the Patel case, immigration lawyer Deepak Ahluwalia says many migrants don't see the legal route as a realistic option.
The reason migrants don't apply legally is because even if they did, they would wait several decades before they actually made their way here. If you're a US citizen here and you have a brother or sister that you're trying to bring over from India, the wait would be at least 25 to 30 years before you're allowed to bring your brother here.
With a decades-long wait to enter the US legally, it's no wonder the flow of migrants since the Patel's death hasn't slowed. In fact, the number of illegal crossings from Canada into the US is the highest it's been in years. There's no shortage of business for smugglers. Let's see who comes out of this vehicle typically. Back on our stakeout, we continue to watch and wait. So that appears to be Fennel, right?
That's him.
That's him.
Yeah.
Where is he?
He's going to pick up the bin.
Green bin.
He's getting the green bin.
Oh, yeah, okay. Got him.
Fennel Patel, suspected of driving the Patel family to the border, seemed to go about his day like anyone else. Nothing in his routine gave any hint of the serious crimes he's accused of in India. Just keep going in case he comes back. There he is.
Yeah, he is.
After days of surveillance, we had photos. We had property, vehicle, and corporate records, all pointing to one conclusion: that this was the man wanted by Indian police for culpable homicide in the death of the Patels 2 years ago. But we wanted to be absolutely sure. So we sent our findings to India to get confirmation from Gujarat State Police. With our local team on site and me connecting remotely, we sat down with Chaitanya Mandlik, Deputy Commissioner with the State Police. He walked us through how their investigation led to Fennel Patel.
We have their traveling details, we have their technical call records, we have their internet details. Of who? Of family as well as accused.
Mandlik broke down for us the alleged hierarchy of the smuggling operation. At the top in India, Yogesh Patel, the main agent. Below him, Dashrath Chaudhry and Bhavesh Patel. Mandlik says they would find locals who wanted to travel to the US. They were in turn connected to Fennel Patel and Bittu Paji. He says Fennel and Bittu drove the family and 7 other migrants to the border.
Fennel Patel is basically agent in Canada. He drove them to the border area.
So Fennel Patel and Bittu Paji just drove them there and got away.
Yes, exactly.
He also revealed new information about why the crossing was moved from Vancouver to Manitoba in the dead of winter.
To save the money and to save time, they told them to cross from Manitoba side.
For the Patel family, Fennel Patel and Bittu Paji may be the last people they saw before they crossed.
But Fennel Patel
and Bittu Paji, yeah, they were the last person
they've seen.
Exactly.
Now came the moment of truth.
But this is pretty clear.
We show our surveillance photos to Indian investigators.
I would just like to show you some photographs of Fennel Patel, which I have.
First, we show the old photos, then our surveillance shots.
Is this Fennel Patel?
Yeah,
is this Fennel Patel?
Yes, he's Fennel Patel.
This is Fennel Patel? Is that him also?
Yes.
Is that him?
Yes.
I think so. I think so. Fennel Patel, I think so.
Joining the deputy commissioner, one of the key investigators handling the Patel case.
Mr. Thakur,
Fennel.
this is Fennel in Canada right now. Oh. Apparently he is somewhere in the Toronto region.
Okay. Oh, great.
Almost a year after first naming him publicly, Indian police verified that this is Fennel Patel. The man they say forced a family of 4 into a blinding snowstorm that ultimately led to their death. We have the evidence, we verified his identity. The next step, ask him directly about the allegations.
All right, so Scott, you're going to be with me, with John, and then Andrew.
With Andy.
Okay.
After a brief meeting nearby, we get ready to roll. We get in position.
It's him.
Fennel, go, go, go.
Fennel, my name's Steven D'Souza. I'm with CBC News, the Fifth Estate. Indian police are accusing you of driving the Indian family, the Patel family, to the border. Did you drive them to the border, sir? Did you leave them out there to die? Did you drive them to the cold and leave them behind, sir? Fennel, we want to ask you about what happened to the Patel family. Can you tell us what happened to the Patel family? Indian police are accusing you, sir, of driving the family to the border. Did you drive them to the border? Were you involved in the family's journey? All right. That was our chance. He's gone back inside. As you can see, he didn't really have much to say. But as soon as I presented myself, he immediately turned away. So it doesn't look like we're going to get an answer today.
We took a second to regroup. We wanted to try one more time to get answers.
So clearly he didn't want to talk to us. We're going to try giving him a call now. Let's give him a call and see if he wants to talk. We'll give him another chance.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Fennel. It's Steven D'Souza from CBC News. We still have some questions for you about the Patel family. You didn't want to talk to us outside, but we'd like to give you another chance. Please give me a call.
We didn't get any answers, and we still had a lot of questions. Most of all, how is a man wanted overseas in connection with a serious crime walking around freely in Canada? Coming up, we take the results of our investigation to the RCMP to find out what they're going to do about Fennel Patel.
Unless there's an arrest warrant issued for this individual, there's nothing that stops him from leaving Canada. He could end up wherever, and then we'll really be at a loss for the investigation.
Two years after tragedy took this family, police in Canada haven't made any arrests in the case. And the only known suspects have managed to avoid the spotlight until now. After months of searching, we tracked down a man Indian police say helped transport the Patel family to a remote area on the Manitoba-US border where they ultimately froze to death.
Did you leave them out there to die? Did you drive them to the cold and leave them behind, sir? Fennel, we want to ask you about what happened to the Patel family. Can you tell us what happened to the Patel family? Indian police are accusing you, sir, of driving the family to the border. Did you drive them to the border? Were you involved in the family's journey?
Could try.
Our investigation found that Fennel Patel, accused of human smuggling by Indian police, is living openly in Canada, going about his daily affairs with no indication of the serious charges he's facing. How could this be? We know Indian police first named him publicly in January 2023. At the time, they shared their information with the RCMP. In February 2023, RCMP liaison officers went to Gujarat and met senior investigators. Indian police gave them an update which included Fennel Patel's Indian passport information. The message to the RCMP, according to one source with knowledge of the meeting, Fennel is in Canada, do something about it. And recall, it was reported last May that Indian authorities requested that Canada extradite Fennel Patel and Bittu Paji to face charges.
We are requesting Canadian authority for the custody of Fennel Patel and Bittu Paji. We are searching whereabouts of Bittu Paji and Fennel Patel.
So what happened to that request? Immigration lawyer Deepak Ahluwalia says there could be a number of reasons why Fennel Patel is not in custody.
The RCMP may not have the actual minimum that they need to actually go ahead and charge this individual. The Indian authorities may still be collecting information and don't have enough to actually put forward an extradition request.
He says extradition is a slow process that could take decades, so the RCMP should take the initiative.
If there is reason to believe and there is evidence that this individual was doing all of this in Canada, well, to be honest, then you don't need India. You don't need the government of India to do the extradition request. You try that person in Canada. The crime was committed in Canada by someone who was on Canadian soil.
Ahluwalia points to the statement from survivor Varshil Dobi as a key piece of evidence.
The fact that he is the only one that can place the Patel family with him at the border before they actually decided to make that trek, I believe is a smoking gun and is enough for the RCMP to actually act and go further in this investigation to actually put out an arrest warrant against him without having to wait for any other more information from India or for them to actually make a formal extradition request.
So why haven't they done it?
That's the million-dollar question. What are they waiting for? Something is impeding this investigation, and again, we don't know what that exactly is.
The Fifth Estate informed the RCMP that we found Fennel Patel. The RCMP told us their investigation is progressing. However, they declined our request for an on-camera interview. And in response to a detailed list of questions, they say they're following all relevant avenues of investigation.
The Fifth Estate also reached out to the Indian High Commission in Ottawa. They would play a role in any extradition requests. We have yet to get a response. The discovery of Fennel Patel is just one of many unresolved questions in this story. Among the others, the fate of Steve Shand. He was on the other side of the border, allegedly waiting to pick up the migrants who survived the crossing. The Florida man is the only person arrested in North America directly related to this case. He's charged with human smuggling, and he's pleaded not guilty to the charges. His trial is set for February in Minnesota.
Best of luck. See you.
There's Mahendra Patel, Jagdish's brother. He helped arrange the family's trip and stands accused of smuggling another group of Indians who have since disappeared and are presumed dead. He's still on the run from Indian police. Then there's the mystery of Bittu Paji. He appears to be a ghost. Indian authorities don't even know his real name. Police in Gujarat say he also played a key role in smuggling the Patel family to the border. Indian police were told he lived in the Vancouver area. Meanwhile, Fenil Patel remains a free man. It's not clear if he's under investigation in Canada or will be sent to India.
There's nothing that stops him from leaving Canada. He could end up wherever, and then we'll really be at a loss for the investigation.
That's a scary thought, isn't it? That he could just vanish at any moment now.
Absolutely. He's free to travel and roam around the world. He may not even still be in Canada, depending on when we've seen him last.
For now, by all appearances, Fenil Patel is living the kind of normal suburban life that Jagdish Patel hoped to have for his family. A life Jagdish, Vaishali, Vahangi, and Dharmik never had a chance to experience.